Welcome to Chicken Skin Fireside. If you have a story you would like to share, please email us at chickenskinfireside@gmail.com. Tonight we have one of the oldest stories and one that has never been debunked. Deep in the shadow of Mount St. Helens, a group of rugged miners stumbled into what would become one of the most terrifying encounters in Bigfoot history. This is the story of the Ape Canyon Attack of 1924. In the summer of 1924, 5 gold prospectors, Fred Beck, Marion Smith, Roy Smith, Gabe Lefevre, and John Peterson, were working a remote mining claim in the wilderness of Washington State. They built a small log cabin at about 4,600 feet, perched above a narrow and dangerous canyon, known by the locals as Ape Canyon. The men weren't greenhorns. They were experienced woodmen, tough and used to life in the backcountry, but even they weren't prepared for what was about to happen. It started with strange tracks. Large, human foot-like footprints appeared in the soft soil around their claim. They were much bigger than any man's, measuring about 19 inches long. At first the men laughed it off. Just a bear, some said, or maybe pranksters, but the prints kept showing up. And then came the sounds. At night, eerie whistles and pounding thuds echoed from the timberline. Something was moving out there, watching them. One afternoon, Frank Beck spotted a huge hairy creature standing on a ridge about 100 yards away. It wasn't a bear. The creature stood upright, massive and broad-shouldered, covered in dark hair. Beck, frightened, raised his rifle and fired. The figure toppled into the canyon below. The men thought the ordeal was over, but they were wrong. That night, just past midnight, the cabin shook violently. The prospectors bolted upright as heavy rocks began pelting the roof and walls. Shadows loomed outside. Something was circling them. Not one creature, but several. The ape men, as the miners later called them, howled and screamed, throwing stones the size of boulders. The men fired blindly through the cracks in the log walls, their rifle shots echoing through the canyon. At one point, a hairy arm reached through a gap in the logs, trying to grab one of the men. Beck swung his rifle like a club, smashing the arm until it withdrew. The siege continued for hours. Rocks battered the roof and heavy thuds shook the cabin, as though the creatures were trying to break in. Pinned inside, the men clutched their rifles, firing whenever they caught movement in the dark. Finally, as the first light of dawn crept into Ape Canyon, the attack stopped. The forest grew quiet. The creatures had vanished. Exhausted and shaken, the prospectors packed up their gear and abandoned the claim immediately. They never returned. When the story broke in the local newspapers, it caused quite a sensation. Some dismissed it as a tall tale, while others believed the men had truly encountered something unknown. To this day, people still report strange sights and sounds in that stretch of the wilderness, as though the shadow of 1924 has never really faded. So, what do you think? Did the miners of Ape Canyon survive a night-long siege by creatures we now call Bigfoot? Or was it just fear and folklore carried throughout the dark woods? Either way, the Ape Canyon Attack remains one of the most chilling encounters in cryptid history. Let us know in the comments what you think, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And finally, be careful out there.